Well, welcome everyone. G'day, Aaron.
Yo, David, what's going on, man?
How you going?
I'm doing good. There's the biggest fly in this room in my office is like this big. I already nailed it with the baseball bat once and it felt like hitting a softball and it landed on the ground. I went to go attack it some more and it flew away. So I hope it doesn't rear its
Oh,
ugly head when I'm doing this live because it's like the biggest, scariest thing I've ever seen. So how you doing? You
yeah,
said you have a
really
fly
good.
over there.
Yeah, I've got a fly in too. I was trying to open up my door to get it outside because it was such a beautiful day that I left the door open and then this blowfly came in and it was buzzing around my head. So I don't know whether that's still here either. So there's something a little bit different about you, Aaron. I'm not quite sure what it might be. What's going on? There's just something
What?
different about you.
What? What? Oh, yeah. The caterpillar that used to hang out above my above my lip is gone.
Now, if you
I saw
haven't seen the
someone.
video, watch it because I love that video Aaron put up on his channel yesterday, I think it was. Was it yesterday? I can't remember. The days are all a blur at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know when I no, I don't know when I put that up. I don't remember. I've like recorded so much stuff and editing every day. I just don't remember when I put it up. But it had to have been yesterday. I
Yeah, I
don't
think it
know.
was anyway. It's good if you watch it, you'll love it. I'm not going to tell you any more because you need to go and watch the video to see what happened and what's happened to this little mow that Aaron had. Because it's a great video that it explains why it's disappeared. So pop on there.
Yeah,
So
so
what have you been
funny.
up to? Anything exciting during the week?
Nah, just filming stuff. Like I said to a lot of people, I'm going to start getting back more into video. Also photography. Me and my wife have some photography shoot plans coming up here to mimic a painting that we seen a while ago.
Oh,
But as of last week, yeah, just doing video, getting more into it. I'm watching myself here, checking out my new color profile settings that I
looks
have in the
good.
camera. Yeah, thanks. On our last show, we talked about, it's not a good. I don't know if it's not a good idea to shoot flat. I don't think it is because of the 8-bit codecs that, my camera, the A7 III, films on. So there's other settings that you can do that's not using those flat picture profiles so you don't ruin the image in any way. So that's what I was doing also, and I think it looks pretty good. Tell me if you guys like it in the comments.
No, I think it's improved each week. I mean, you've gone from
Uh,
being the Hulk now to looking very attractive,
no,
Aaron.
oh, that was terrible. I was the Hulk, and then I
So
was orange. I was an orange man too.
let's have a look. Let's see who's here. Aaron, obviously. Steve is here. David's saying, hi, Aaron, waiting for David. We were both getting a coffee, weren't we, Aaron? Actually, Aaron, hang on a sec, because I don't think your audio is coming out through this, so let me just add that to make sure. I'm just going to add Aaron's audio in. Where are we? Audio. Let me check, so I need to add that. Audio, where are we? Audio files, screen capture, video, audio, here we go. It should be, where were we? Nope, but they will in a second, I think. Let me just add now. I've just got to make you stereo because that will also be, you'll be on mono. Where are we? Oops, I think I've just got to put it on there. There, let me go to audio and left and right. I think we'll be right now. So just talk now.
Hey,
Yep,
yeah, audio
yep,
test.
we're right. Okay, so what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying that I got a Starbucks coffee and I used to, every show that we did, I would have a new cup and then I would say where I got the cup from. But man, we did the show a little over a year and right at the end of the year, I ran out of cups. So I had a lot of mugs, but I'm out. But anyways, this is Starbucks coffee in a Starbucks mug that we got in Seattle in the original first Starbucks. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. Also, Dave is saying coffee or equals beer. No beer at the moment. It's a bit cooler. I'm having coffee with you guys today. I might Friday, though, depending on how the weather is here. George said greetings from New Jersey.
Hey,
Langston's here
George,
as
how
well.
you doing?
Gerald here. G'day, Jerry. How are you?
Hi, Gerald.
Carl is here.
Taking
David
my
said
mic.
losing that mustache was a good idea. Much better, Dave says.
Thank you. A lot of people said that. Some people said, oh, it was better with, but most people said it's better without. So,
what did Langston said? Random question. Anyone here quit smoking? Well, I haven't because I've never smoked, so I can't tell you.
I stopped smoking, actually. You guys didn't know that, but I've been a smoker for years. But I quit probably when I was 14, so it's been a while since I quit.
What else have we got? Daniel said vape with progressive lower nicotine carts. That's vaping. It's not even legal here, vaping. So.
Oh, photomyike, that's true. You, how far do you live from the original Starbucks? I know you live somewhere over there, right?
Let me just check that. Why is that still showing? Let me go there. Okay, now I think it's right.
How one runs out of mugs, Jims, is I had every show, which was every week, I had a different mug. So you can imagine for 1 year doing a show every week, showing a different mug on where me and my wife travel, we buy a mug. So I had lots of mugs. Every show I would show a new mug. That lasted for a year. And so I'm all out of new mugs to present to you guys. So
well,
that's
you did well. Ben's here as well. G'day, Ben. He said, morning, gentlemen. Mirrorless NY says New York in the house. Jamie's also here saying hi. Jim is here. Daniel saying cold turkey. Victor saying hi from New Jersey. Carol is here as well. G'day, Carol. How are you? She's saying hello, David and Aaron.
Hi, Carol. Nice to see you here.
What else? Anyone else that we haven't seen? Ike's here, obviously. I watched Ike this morning. He was in a discussion with another 4 blokes. It was really interesting.
I missed it.
Yeah, really interesting
I didn't even
discussion.
see it in my feeds or nothing.
They were talking about Profoto against Godox and all these other things. It was a really interesting discussion and a lot of YouTube discussion as well. John is here saying hi, Aaron and David. Scott saying hi, everyone. Jim said, Aaron, please explain how one runs out of mugs.
Yeah, I already told him.
That, yeah.
Yeah, I already told him. Hey, John, how you doing?
Langston said he's firmly in the pro mustache camp.
Yeah, well, it's gone. So
not much time now. You can't do anything about that now. Tim said, hi, David. Scary times in the UK. It's like we're in a movie. Yeah, it's pretty awful over there. I've been following it. My auntie lives over there.
Where?
In the UK.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's particularly bad at the moment. Well, like I said, we're very, very lucky here in Australia because we're sort of isolated from all of it, really. So we're very lucky. Well, you're like an island as well, aren't you, Aaron? So you're isolated as well.
Yeah, we have one of the least amount of cases and stuff.
What Jim said, Aaron, I've had the same mug for 71 years. It has just grown and ripened.
Wow, that's crazy. 71 years.
So today we're in for an interesting show, actually, because we thought, look, because of the virus, obviously the news stories are very, very quiet. So we thought what we'd do today is have a discussion about where we think the future is going to go with photography. And we thought we'd also talk about things like, now there's a couple of things that I mentioned with Aaron that we might discuss with you today. One of it's fusion, so we want to go through fusion, and I think why it's so important for, I think, the future, and you should be training yourselves up, and now might be a good time to do that. So we're going to discuss that. Then we're going to talk about flash dying and continuous light is going to take over, and these are just discussions that we thought we'd want to mention. And the other thing, I'm just checking in my messenger what else we discussed, because we also thought that we could also discuss with you. Where were we? I've got to find it now. Right down the bottom. Yeah, so there was fusion, flash, and also 8K stills from video, because we thought we'd also discuss that as well, because there's some interesting things to discuss about the way things are going. So it should be really interesting. But I thought what we'd do first is we'd start by, I'll show you a video that I've done which sort of incorporates stills and video together. Some of you who are following may have seen this, but others that are new to the channel may not have. So I'll show you that. Later on in the chat, we're going to have, Aaron's got this amazing video he's shot in New York that we're going to actually play for a while, then pause it and discuss what he thought and why he did certain shots and everything else. And we'll just break that movie down for you, because this is what we want this channel to be about, is education. And, you know, teaching you things behind the scenes, all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'd go through that with you today with this great video that Aaron put together. So I thought what we'd do, before we start talking about the fusion, I thought we'd play this video and it'll give you an idea about what my idea of fusion is. So I'll have to put the speaker through. It's just the way that this works, so we can't talk while this is on. But let me just turn the speaker up. I don't think any audio is coming out. Hang on a second.
I heard it.
Oh, did you hear it?
Yeah.
Let me know in the chat, guys. Can you let me know quickly in the chat whether it was coming out? Because it wasn't showing any meters at all, which is a bit odd. So I just want to wait before we start going through whether that was working or not. Because it should, I would have thought it would show an audio meter. So just show me, guys, quick chat, if you could hear the audio when I played that video a second ago. I just want to wait and see what they say. I don't know why. I love it when no one answers. I hate the delay. You're always waiting on the delay. No, they didn't hear it. I didn't think so. Let me just see if I can fix it, guys. Let me go to, where will we do it? I might try it here. Let me try it through this one. All right, we'll play it here. Should work here. All right, here we go.
You're the
Okay, so I wanted to give you an idea, like how that worked, and the reason why I wanted to play that was a video that I did for Pro Photo. It was for the A1 when that got released, so they
Super
asked
amazing.
me to do that. But what I wanted to talk to you about is, and I wanted Aaron's perspective too, because Aaron is a real video guy, far more than what I ever am. But I wanted to talk about how this can probably expand your business. Remember when we all come out of this virus lockdown or whatever, we're all going to be competing again for work. And this is why I'm saying it might be the perfect opportunity for you to try and up your skills to be able to do exactly what I just did in that scenario. Now, I do this now for weddings. I do this for all of my model shoots that I do and everything else. And it's opened up this whole new world to me that I never would have had before. In fact, the second the lockdown is finished, I'm going to be doing another really big dance video for a corporate client that I've just got a new one that's seen my work that I've done with dancers, and I'm going to be doing that with them. And it won't be stills this time; it'll be just the video aspect. So what I'm saying is, it opens up this whole new world to you that you never would have had before. And to be completely honest, I think the way things are going with photography, particularly that. Fusion, which is a mix of video and stills, is going to be the future. And I think if you don't learn video skills, you're going to get left behind. And the reason why I say this, and I'll open up to Aaron soon, is that if you look at, say, people with TikTok, TikTok is massive. I don't know how it is overseas, but TikTok is massive now here in Australia. And you can let me know if it's as big in the States and everywhere else as well in the chat or whatever. But it's huge. You look at Instagram, and a lot of the stuff that they're sharing now is video-based. So the kids that are growing up now, my granddaughters are doing stuff on TikTok. They post stuff on TikTok every single day. It seems to be that the still side, and I know people are going to get upset by this, and I completely understand it, but it seems to be that the still side in the younger generation is disappearing, and it's disappearing to be replaced by video. So what I'm trying to say to you all is, and I want you to think about this, that if you, I don't think photography will ever disappear. I really don't believe that, because I think it's a beautiful medium and it'll be around forever. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be more and more demand for video services incorporated with video. In fact, a lot of people now that hire me ask if I do video as well. And that's without them even knowing that I do the video side of it. So, I just thought, is TikTok big in where you are, Aaron, or?
Yeah, it's pretty big here. I hear about it all the time. So yeah, it's pretty, I've never used it or tried it out, but I hear about it all the time. So it's pretty popular.
It's more like what they do is they'll do a 10-second, I think it's 10 or 15 seconds, and it repeats over. So they'll often do it to dance moves and things like that, or they do funny things. But it's like a repeating video that's taking off, and it seems to have completely taken over from Instagram, for instance, the live Instagram or the TV, Instagram TV, whatever you call it, ITV or whatever it's called, I can't remember. But it seems to have really grabbed over the people from that side of things. And this is why I'm saying to you that I do really believe that video is going to be the future. Oh, thank you so much, Panda, who just gave a $5 donation. I will be around forever, and that includes my images. Like I said, I don't think it will completely replace photography, but it's going to be a needed thing, and I think you're going to lose work if you don't have it. I mean, what's your opinion, Aaron, about what I've been saying?
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and I feel the same. A lot of times, if someone wants to hire, if I would say the first choice for most bride and grooms as far as weddings are concerned is probably a photographer first. But I do know a lot of times, and I've done weddings where there's also a videographer there as well. Well, if you can show them a package that you could do both, and that other guy only did video, or another photographer only did photography, and you can, I don't know about pricing. I did one wedding video a long time ago for a friend, so I don't even know how pricing, never even thought about it. But if you could be within a good price range that covers both of those two people, then they might start taking you over the other two that only do one thing. Now, this is just, I haven't studied it or really, figured it out, but I would just think if I were to hire someone and I looked at this photographer and this videographer and then this photographer and he does video and it looks great, I would probably just, And if you factor in the pricing, it might be cheaper to go with the one guy that does a good job for both. So maybe it would be more popular to get someone who can do both like yourself. Now, I've never presented a client with video as well, so I don't know anything about it, but I would just assume that they would go for someone if they want video and photography, that one person or a company or whatever it is. So I think it's really important for that. Video also is really important for if you want to get into anything else, like if you want to do even product photography, there's a huge demand for product photography as well in video, because I don't know where I remember seeing this, but even forget who talked about this. I read so much, but during this lockdown thing, there's still new commercials coming out because you see commercials talking about this pandemic thing we're in. So there's still a lot of work to be done for TV. Also websites. A lot of people like intros to their websites and stuff like that. And now that there's a lot of those businesses closed and a lot of people, even more people are shopping online, I think video is going to be even more important for small businesses that want to do a video presentation of their company for their website type thing. So I think video is absolutely, now I wouldn't say it's like the way to go, but like I've said on our last show, the more things you learn about all kind of different things, the more chances you are to get a job. Because if someone says, hey, do you know how to do video? No, I don't. You lost the job. But if you say, yeah, I'm pretty good at video as well, and then you can get that job. Same with graphics and everything else. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Langston just put up there, young people have no dollars, so I tend not to care. This is an argument for using it to drive traffic to other platforms, but I think it depends on what you're selling. But don't underestimate it, Langston, because it's not just children that are using this program. It's a lot of people in their 20s and things like that. I think a lot of influencers are tending now to also shift over to TikTok as well because they've seen the growth trends on it. So you've got to be very, very careful in how you think. What I'm trying to say, though, is that I think young people particularly who have grown up with an iPhone generation, and when I say young people, remember, if you're 20-odd, it's young to me, but even people around that age, late sort of 18, 19, 20, the people that start to get into wanting to promote themselves and spend a little bit of money, and future weddings, for instance, have all grown up with this, like an iPhone, always having an iPhone with you, always being able to shoot a bit of video whenever they want it, using Instagram, using TikTok, Facebook, not so much now, because I think Facebook particularly, is starting to die out with the younger generation, and it's things like TikTok that are moving ahead, and Snapchat. Things like that are becoming the really popular programs with kids. I think anything where parents go, the kids will avoid. So that's why they no longer like to sort of associate with Facebook too much. It's interesting though, but like I'm saying, this probably is the perfect chance that you've got to try and learn your skills. Now, all the skills that you've got as a photographer can be translated into doing videography, like, your lighting skills, things like that when something is very well lit. And there's another conversation we're going to have shortly, which is talking about, is flash being replaced by continuous lighting? And this is another aspect that as we all move over to continuous lighting, which possibly is going to be the future, well, then the lighting is just the same because that's what they use when they're doing video, which is all the continuous lighting, Aaron.
Exactly, and also it's not necessarily just a platform we should discuss like everybody's going to TikTok, because next time it's going to be something else, but it's those platforms or apps that are basically making you do a video, which is just implementing video in everybody. So even though platforms change, it's always probably going to always go toward video, just because it always was photography. Now all these apps are just requiring video or adding video features to their apps. So you can see the trend going more to video as well. Not to say it'll completely replace photography, because there's always going to be, even if everything was just digital, no magazines or newspapers, there's always going to be still imagery that is needed, because you don't want to see everything moving all the time. But if you start now learning video, that can only help you later in life when you find more people switching to video. So I think you're right on point. Doing those fusion type weddings and stuff is great. Now there's another, I had to find his name here while you were talking there. This guy commented on some of my videos, and a lot of time when people comment just things that are crazy. Sometimes I'll click like, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's see what he knows. And like, it's just like a generic icon they have, and they have no work whatsoever. So you're like, they don't know what they're talking about. But this one guy in particular, he didn't say nothing rude or nasty. It was actually something that I learned from us. Ooh, let me see if he knows what he's talking about further before I take him at his word. His name is Benjamin Kanarick, whatever. And we started following each other on Instagram. And he does Vogue magazine in Paris. He's like a big photographer for those big magazines. And almost, I don't know how many shoots he does a week or whatever. They're a lot. But on all those, I can't say all, but on a lot of those photo shoots that he does for those big companies, his wife actually does videos just like you did with Rebecca. Was that your wife filming you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, his wife films him as well doing these shoots, and he uses those as promotional things to promote himself as well. So not only is he showing his still photography on his webpage or whatever, he's also sending video, from what I understand. At least I know he does it on Instagram and on his YouTube channel. And I think I heard him say in an interview before that he does show that as well to potential clients, or the people who are hiring him are wanting that. I can't remember exactly the details, but it is video as well. So, you know, I think video is really the key. If you want to stick on photography, it's fine. But if you learn video, it can only help you. And I think it's going to go more toward video. You don't want to have that point where you just sat on just photography, and then people start saying, a bride, let's say, says, "Oh, do you do video too?" Because we're trying to, save money and hire one guy. And if you don't do video, you're like, nah, I don't do that. And then you're going to lose a client. So you're going to lose work if you don't learn it.
Well, see, that's the perfect, and I was going to mention that's the perfect thing that you just said then, because with brides particularly now, it's getting harder and harder to get money. Like everyone, and this was even before the virus. I mean, everyone now struggles usually for $1, and it's getting harder and harder as a wedding photographer particularly to try and make money. And that's the issue. But if you can push it from the aspect that, yes, I'll do both for you, and then that saves them having to hire one extra person. It saves them having to hire one or feed one extra person in the reception, because that's a lot of money to feed someone in the reception when they've got to give a full meal and everything else. Often it's over $100. So they're saving that right from the beginning as well. And
less people to deal with?
Yeah, less people to deal with. And not only that, you save time, because I then don't have to worry about, I don't mind working with videographers, but it's much easier for me if you have a certain time limit, like you've got to do all your formals or whatever within an hour, say. It's way easier to do the whole lot yourself, because you don't have to do things twice. In other words, if, do one for you and then the videographer would like to do something else for him or her. You can do the whole lot in one go, and you don't have to worry about that. And brides actually love that aspect of it, that, you're not dealing with multiple people. And I just love it. And that's why I started to offer it in the beginning, because I thought, well, I'd prefer to be in complete control of doing the whole lot and give this as an extra service. And I don't charge someone what I would charge for a videographer, what they charge for that, but I charge an extra $1,000 to do my 3 to 4 minute highlight of the day.
That might be cheaper than hiring a full videographer. You know?
It is, because for them to hire a full-on videographer is probably going to be the same price they're going to charge for me, which is they'll be paying $3,000 probably minimum. Well, that's what we are here now. If they're saving roughly $2,000 by having me do it.
Yeah, and that right there is a perfect selling pitch, because you know both genres. It's like, and if they were only looking for photography and they chose you to do photography, and you said, here, we have another package where we do add video, then you're gaining more value, and you're raising the price for a good purpose, of course, and you're getting more out of it. So it's just, I don't think it can go wrong. Now, Langston just says, is there some risk to, where to go? Is there some risk to agreeing to do both? Seems like you might need another person. Now, when I tried doing photography and video on a sports event that I was hired to do, and at the time I had a Nikon D750, and that was a disaster for me, because it was so hard to switch from photos and then video, because I don't remember. I think I did a video on this. It was really hard because certain cameras don't switch to video good because you still have the other settings or the settings you had before. They don't like, you can't like set your exposure for photography and then just hit a record button with those same settings, basically, with the Nikon D750. So for me, it really kind of, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I would absolutely need another camera with me set for video or another person. But now, I mean, a lot of the cameras nowadays, not all, but a lot of cameras, you can kind of have those settings and just press record and then capture it. Now, is that what you do, David, with your going to Langston's video? Do you comment, do you need another person, or can you just do that all from one camera, or do you need two cameras set up different?
No, well, it depends how it is. If it's a big wedding, it depends really how much they want to pay. But if it's a bigger wedding, I tend to hire someone to lug my gear around, just to lug the gear around, because that's hard, because I grab so much more gear if I'm doing a full-on production. But I find, no, that the cameras basically are good enough as they are, because I'll just use the your menu on the top. You can program different buttons to do different things, and I just program the buttons for. Normally it's just stills, but then I can program the other buttons so I can click on, and one will be set for doing 1080p video, another one will be set for doing slow motion, etc. So I can quickly just change the button and then start shooting immediately. So it's not a problem using the same camera, and that's often what I'll do. Is sometimes I'm even taking stills while the camera's on the gimbal. I'll have the gimbal working and I'm taking stills, and then I'll start shooting video exactly at the same time. So you don't need another person. No, you don't need. You can do it. You can do it all on your own. But I've always got another person with me, and that Kerry's always with me. So I do always have an extra person with me. If you were doing it solely on your own, it could be a tough gig, because there's a lot to carry. And running around, sometimes you've got to, like, sometimes when I'll set up a camera at the back, which will do the bride walking down the aisle or whatever on a static tripod, I like Kerry to say, watch that, to make sure that they'll continue to record and things like that. And even monitor the audio in case if there's something wrong. So I do like to have another person with me, but most photographers that are charging a reasonable amount of money will have a second shooter with them anyway. So I think it's fine that you could have that second shooter working with you to help with the video.
Now, there's different productions, too, we should talk about when it comes to weddings. Is sometimes you have a videographer that has gimbals, jibs, sliders, full audio, mic'd, and all that stuff. I think most of the stuff that you're doing, David, isn't it more clip-its here and there, not necessarily worrying about sliders and jibs and miking people and stuff like that, right?
No, I do that. Audio for me is a really big thing, so I always mic up everything. So I'll use multiple mics on different people. I'll have multiple backups of mics on as well. So audio is a massive thing. So I do go into it and someone mentioned before that the audio is the hardest part to learn, and I agree with that. That was the hardest part for me to learn to do in the wedding side of it, because it's critical, even more so than the footage often. But I'll always mic up the speeches and do things like that. So audio is a massive component to what I do, and that's probably the one that I'm always the most paranoid about. But I don't use jibs and things like that. I do use sliders. I do use sliders in nearly every single wedding that I do now, and I'll also use my gimbal in every single weddings as well. But I don't use jibs and high-end things like that. And in fact, what I tell brides is that my job is not to be a documentary photographer or videographer. I'm not going to give you a video of the whole day. I'm going to give you a highlight reel that will be 3 to 5 minutes, which is like a movie footage, like exactly what I showed you a minute ago. That's what my job is. And 90% of the brides that I deal with are happy enough for that. To be honest, most people that buy the Doc Edix watch it once or twice, and then it's put in a cupboard and they never watch it again. Whereas the highlight reel, they'll watch them 1,000 times. I know, because I often put them on YouTube, and they'll watch them, 1,000 times, and they'll keep watching them. They send them to their family and friends to look at. Whereas we all know, if a friend invites you around to see their doc edit of their wedding, you're going to give every excuse known to mankind not to go.
Exactly.
Because it's boring.
That's a really good point too, where if you already did a few of those style weddings, the fusion type weddings, and then you present that and show them what they're getting, then they know it's that quick highlight type clip. And then if they're happy with that, then they're happy with that. So that's another thing too. Sometimes you see I'll see videos of this isn't playing. I'll see videos of longer weddings, and I do start getting bored at the end because it's just like they showed it over and over, and I think they're just trying to work the whole time, and it's just full of boring stuff too. But if you have just a shorter, how long you think yours are? 3 minutes or so, or
yeah, 3
5?
to 5 minutes. It just depends on how. I tell them that there's no set amount. It just depends what music I choose and how I think it fits the theme. So in the contract, it will say a 3 to 5 minute video. So it can be anywhere between
That's
there.
good.
There's no set limit, because I don't know how much I'm going to take, how much footage I'm actually going to take. And basically what it will always be minimum of 3 minutes, but it can go up to a maximum of, say, 5. And the better the footage and everything else, the longer the video may be, and I'll choose a song that sort of represents that. If I'm struggling a little bit for footage, then it can be a little bit more on, say, the 3 minute side. It just depends on, how the day goes, really.
Okay. Hey, we are already 50 minutes into our program. Do you want to go to the next?
Yeah. Let me just answer a couple of these where they highlighted our
go for
name.
it.
Mike said,
last week we went for 2 hours.
yeah, we don't want to do that tonight. Mike said, Aaron, can you suggest a value-based light stick? Are you talking about, well, I use, if you're talking about the light stick, I use the Ice-Lite. But I haven't, to be completely honest with you, since I've got the ProPhoto B10, I haven't used them. I really probably should even sell them. I've got 3 Ice-Lites. Well, I just find that look, the Ice-Lites I love, but I've got so much more control and power in the ProPhoto. And remember, the new Godox light that's out is the same as the ProPhoto B10. So you're going to be able to do this from your Godox lights coming up as well. But I'm finding now that because I've got so much control and I can put the modifiers on and everything else, that I mostly just use the ProPhoto B10, and then I don't have to lug around multiple things. I often just take one extra light. So I'll have the ProPhoto B10, and then if I need another light, I'll then use something. If I'm doing a big wedding production, I'll use like Neo rotor lights or something on either end so that I can light up the dance floor or light up the speeches, things like that. And I'll usually use my ProPhoto B10 as the main fill, the key light at the front, and light from that. Sometimes I'll like to use Ice-Lites if I want a really soft light, because the Ice-Lites are beautiful and soft. But I know the Ice-Lites are amazing, but there's also a cheaper version of that which Godox put out too, which is a light stick as well. That's way cheaper than what the Ice-Lites are. So probably the Godox or the Ice-Lites. Colin said in there, I see photographers do a good job on video but stuff up the sound. And that's why I said sound is one of the really critical things to learn, and it took me a couple of years to really nut the sound out and get a really good result. Langston said, what are your strategies for using constant light, considering it has a lot less output than flash? ISO, Langston.
Well, that's one of our subjects we're going to be getting into, right?
We're going to talk about that shortly, so we'll talk about that in the next one. Is there any others that I needed to go through? No, that's it. Devin said, yeah, he'll buy the Ice-Lite. Yeah, it's a great light, Devin, that Ice-Lite. So the next one that we wanted to talk about, because I wanted to talk about this as well, because it fits directly into what we were saying about Fusion. And that is that in the future, and that when I talk about the near future, remember that we think the Canon R5 is going to have 8K video. I'm not saying it's usable at this stage, because it takes an incredible beefy camera to actually manipulate that footage and edit that footage. But can you imagine, say, in another 5 years' time, what type of computer we'll have in 5 years' time? I mean, even the iPads now can push around the A7R4 files without even worrying about them. So I think what's probably going to happen is that you're going to get these 8K video cameras that are out, and you're going to be able to grab the stills from them. And this is why I'm saying also that it's so important to learn the video aspect of it, because what's going to eventually happen is, in the weddings particularly, you're probably going to get to the point where you'll be filming the whole wedding, and then you'll grab your stills after the fact from these files that you're getting with video. Now, I know a lot of people now are going to say, yes, but you're limited with the shutter speed and everything else. And what I'm going to say to you is it's not always the case, because often when I'm doing weddings, I don't use NDs, I just push the shutter. Now, what I mean by when I push the shutter is I'm often using 1/2000th of a second or whatever in the wedding footage, and brides never, ever know the difference. So you can quite easily have a wedding image that was taken, say, with an 8K footage that was shot in video, 1/2000th of a second or 1/500th of a second, grab a still, and that still is going to be very, very sharp, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. When I did a few projects like that where I would film something and then later take video stills from that. The Panasonic cameras have that type of feature. And yeah, I mean, can you imagine, maybe not, when it is weird when you're used to doing photography and you're setting up lighting and you're setting up the model and you have him or her facing a certain way, and then you're taking your time and you take the shot and you look at it and you take the other shot. It's kind of hard to go from that to filming that same scene, but you can do it once you wrap your head around it. Now, of course, you put your camera in the landscape or horizontal or portrait orientation or whatever, and you can do that same thing. The cool thing about that is sometimes you'll be taking shots where, the model's hair's blowing or something, and she just got her chin perfect and everything's perfect except her eyes are half closed or something. And if you had that in an 8K video, you would have every little, every little increment of that photo that you could stop it right before her eyes went half closed, if you know what I'm saying. So same with the baseball. You're trying to get that baseball to hit the bat. If you're doing video, 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second or whatever they're going to have in 8K when it gets real good, then you can just go through till the ball hits the bat and save it, and you've got a nice video there, photo there. The only downside is it's kind of like you're shooting JPEG, so you don't have the flexibility of RAW unless in the maybe far future we're going to have a RAW video 8K or something that you can capture it in RAW, which now we're even getting really, you might not need to do photography for a lot of different things when it gets to that point. But up till now, you're still going to be shooting JPEG. So, if you're comfortable with shooting JPEG, the cool thing about it is, like you said, you could film stuff. And if you're shooting 8K and you're filming stuff, and let's say you're also doing photography or have a second, if you guys miss something but it's in the video, then you can at least, as a backup or a safety, capture it from that. So there's all kind of ways you can use 8K video footage. I mean, the sky's the limit on that, especially like with birds and other things.
It's interesting because I just said, laugh out loud, Devin, that's even worse. Now you've got to sort through 120 photos per second. But I'll tell you the way I did this, and I was trying to see if I could find the photos, because I did do some recently where I showed the stills that I could grab for my A9, and I was surprised how good they actually were from video. But what I would do if it was me in this circumstance is, because I'm already doing the fusion video, which is the video and the stills, I always do the video before I do the stills. I always do it while it's fresh in my mind. So I like to do the video while I can remember all the shots I've taken, the emotion and everything else, and then do that straight away. So I've already got them on my timeline, and I can just simply drag through the timeline and grab the skills that I need. It's not a big deal to grab stills from say, a Final Cut timeline. It's actually very, very easy. And it's easy when you see it on the timeline and you're scrolling through to grab the images that you need. It's a lot easier than you think, so it's not such a big deal. But I just wanted to just quickly show a couple of these, just so people can get an idea too about the fusion. I'll show you here. If you look at this one, I know I've showed some of these before, but I thought it might be interesting to some people that haven't seen it. If you look here, you can see me holding the two cameras. So in one hand, I'm shooting one hand there, the stills, and in my other hand, I've got the gimbal, and I'm using my, I think it's the A6400 or something like that, on the gimbal. So I'm taking both at the same time. Now, I am being covered because Kerry is at the back of this church taking photos as well. So I'm always conscious of having, the ability to cover myself. Let me just see if there's another one I can sort of bring up here. You can see again, if you look at this one, let me just move this over so you can see, where were we? This is from behind, but you'll see if you look at this one, that you can't see the other camera, but you can certainly see me. I've walked around the front and I'm holding the gimbal up, taking the shots. And at the same time, I've got the other camera in that hand over here, taking another shot as well. Let me just see if there's any others before we sort of go over. I'll just see if I can... This will show it probably a little bit better. if you move over there, you can see that I've got the gimbal in one hand over here, and I've got my A9 or the A7 III there taking the photos as well. So I'm grabbing both of them, and I'm wearing the Think Tank belt there. So if I need to put that camera down to take a bit of video, I can just stick that on my belt and then just take a video away. But I've always got in one hand the video there because I don't want to miss a moment. Like, it takes a lot of practice and you are exhausted at the end of the day, but I'm just showing you what's possible. Now, for me to be able to grab one camera, like say if it was the R5 or whatever, and eliminate that other camera and do the whole lot from in one camera, then it becomes really interesting to me, and the fact that I can just shoot without even having to think about whether it's continuous light or whether it's a still or a video, and just grab the appropriate image that I need after the fact. And to be honest, we've all probably done it. We've all missed that moment because something has happened or whatever. There's less chance that you'll ever miss that moment if you're shooting video, because it's every single still is being captured somewhere. And it's just a thought that I thought would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, the thing too, Ike was saying is, yeah, you don't have to go, a step, frame to frame through a, whatever frame rate you're shooting at. It's basically like, you scroll through. I remember there was a cool shot somewhere in here, and you're just scrolling through like, oh, there it is. And once you get around there, you just click, 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 click. Oh, that's it. The other thing is, yeah, we're talking about doing this for weddings, which is, quite the task. But if you're just doing any other type of genre, like you're waiting for that batter to do the thing and you want a portrait of that and you're taking photos or whatever, and you can just turn your camera like this and then click it, and as it's recording the 8K, you got the shot, and then just know later that you can grab that later. So there's different ways you can use it. It doesn't have to be at a wedding where you've got all this huge amount of footage, and you're typically not filming the wedding like constantly. They're small, like 12-second clips. So it's not that big of a task, but how quick, if you're someone who likes to do, I'm looking off for that fly. If you're someone who likes to do a lot of frames per second in photo, you got to go through those just as much as you probably would with video, kinda. So it's not that big a deal. But I would like to use it for like fashion shoots and sports and other things that you're not filming like a long all day type thing, just for little parts here and there.
Now, I'm not saying it's not easy. I'm not going to lie to anyone. It is not an easy task. But I'd prefer the $1,000 to be in my pocket than to say be in anyone else's pocket. But there is a big learning curve. I did this over a period of 2 years, so I did it for free at the start. When I say for free, I was there as the photographer, and I just gave them the video. I said to them, would they be interested in me doing this? And I'll give you that for free. And I did that for a couple of years to get up to the level where I am now. But now I'm doing it all the time. So I'm doing it now for everything that I do now. I'm doing it for weddings. I'm doing it for dance shoots. I'm doing it for everything else. And it's opened so many more doors for me. There is massive learning curves. I mean, there's massive learning curves in the audio alone. But persist with it, and eventually you'll get really good at it. And it's so worth it. I mean, people do laugh when they laugh at me when they see me with 2 cameras walking away and doing it. That took a lot of practice and a lot of skill to do that, but I'm very competent at it now, and it's something that, like anything, the more you do it, the better off you'll get at it, and then it becomes sort of second nature to you. And I love doing it now, and I love the video aspect, to be completely honest. I find it really good. Now, I wanted to talk too about the last story before we go into Aaron's going to break down his video. Is we wanted to talk too about how continuous lighting may have an impact on flash. Now, I know there's times, and at the moment there still is times where I'll use a flash against my continuous lighting, but I'm finding I'm going more and more towards using the continuous lighting and natural light during the day, and using flash less and less often. It's interesting. You seem to go through stages in life, and like you change the way that you shoot and everything else. And I have now tended to go more and more natural light, but the second that the sun goes down, I start to then use continuous light, because it's acting just like natural light. And this is the interesting thing about how it works. And it also assists me in video, and I've probably gone that way more because I've gone so much into video that I need that same look that I'm getting in the video as what I'm going to get in my stills, and it's helped me sort of using the continuous lighting. And I just want to show this because, let me just see if I can bring this web page up. Because I noticed that the lighting is getting more and more powerful. Now, I'll just show you this one. This is one from Rotolight. And this is a new light that they've just brought out, which is called the Titan. I don't know whether you've seen it before, Aaron, but it's a pretty big honking light that they're bringing out now. And it seems to be, I've seen Jason Lanier advertising this quite a bit. I haven't used it, and I don't know what it's like at all. But I mean, I've used the Neo Rotolights, but this is more of a big beefy version of that. And it also does where you can change the color temperature as well to match what's around as well. For light output, they're saying down the bottom that if you're dealing down here, it works through the iPhone and obviously iPad, but your lux at 3 meters in daylight is nearly 2,500 lux at 3 meters. So it's really, really quite powerful. These also can be used as flashes as well. And then I believe when they start to be used as flash, they're way more powerful than they are on the continuous light. But you can see the growth if you look at this here, this graph. Let me just make this smaller so that I can... Oh, I'll have to move it up here actually, I think. You can see the graph there, how much more this has changed. Let me just click back in. Here, you can see there it's nearly 2,500 luxes compared to these other lightings that were around not long ago. It's like double the power output. Now, I think it's about $4,000, so it's not cheap. It's a really, not cheap. Really expensive light. But these things are going to get cheaper. And I think you're going to find it's going to become more and more the norm. But there's a couple of things, and I wanted Aaron to talk about this as well, that continuous light does have issues, that your talent has problems looking at it. And that's one real problem. And, they start to squint, their iris goes really, really tiny, and they find it really intimidating to look at, and it's really, really hard to actually get over that. So that's one thing that you have to get around. It also has trouble overpowering daylight because they're just not powerful enough. Whether this one is, the Titan, I'm not sure because I haven't used it, but I haven't used anything yet in continuous light that can overpower daylight. But it probably is only a matter of time before we get to that point where you will be able to do that successfully. But I'm using continuous light now more and more, Aaron. I'd love your opinion about how you use it, or if you're just doing daylight more now, or you're still using flash.
Yeah, I've typically used daylight most of the time. Anywhere I'm at, whether I'm outside or inside, I immediately look where's the lights coming from and basically do that. If I need light, of course, I'm not afraid to get the flash out and all that. As far as continuous and flash, 6 years ago, I was doing video for 12 years now or whatever. 6 years ago, when I started doing the photography thing, I was using constant lights because that's what I had for my videography. So I was setting up the constant lights to do my photography, and I don't even think maybe I owned a flash a long time ago, but I started finding that the lights of course, 6 years ago weren't as bright as I needed it for some of the outside type shooting. So then I got a flash, and ever since I got the flash, I was like, wow, I mean, this thing's so much smaller than like this here, this little ring light back here. A little Godox, what is it, 680? I forget the model numbers on those, but a typical speed light, full size one.
Yeah.
Is much smaller than that. It's much like 100 times brighter than that, and the battery lasts like way longer than that. So I could fit a flash, and I'm all about small size and fitting stuff in my bag. So I could take one small flash and just outdo that. So I just started going with flash. Even to this day, I prefer flash over constant light only for that purpose. And as we talk about it, I use natural light most of the time anyway. So for me to lug around a big constant light, it doesn't make no sense to me since I don't even use flash that much. But if I do need light, I'd rather have just a small flash unit in my bag that I can pull out and use. So it's one of those things. Now, I like how you're using it because you're using more natural light. And so when you do find that you need to bring out of light because the light's getting low, then constant light's good because you're not trying to overpower the sun. So the way you're using it, I think, is pretty smart because, I would rather use constant light if I'm not trying to, try to compete with the sun, just because I mean, just like here, I'm using all natural light, constant light here, and I can see exactly how the light's falling on me. So it's one of those transitions that I'm rethinking, actually. So right now, I'm still using flash, but maybe soon I'll maybe take one of these lights out, and when I feel the need that the light's getting low, maybe I'll try using that and see if bring constant light back into the mix. So I don't know. That's just how I'm at the moment.
Let me just show you this, because let me just open that up. Let me just switch over to this. This was a perfect example where the continuous light is such an advantage. Yes, I could do this with flash if I wanted to, but then I'd have to gel, because this room was quite warm, and you'd have to then start to think about adding gels, other things to get this image. Where I use the Photo B10 here. Now, Kerry was just where are we? Let me just see if I can open that up again. Kerry was sitting just in a door. There's a doorway just on this side over here. So she's standing with the thing on a light stand, and I just had one little diffuser. This was basically bare flash, so I very rarely even use diffusers anymore. I just use the bare flash with something like a magnum reflector. But so she's standing just in that side, and then all I got her to do was to match what the ambient color was coming into that room. Now, it was quite yellow because of these lights that were overhead, so I had to sort of match it to that. And all I did was quickly adjust the continuous light so that the fill matched whatever the ambient light was there, and the color also matched the light. And, and I did that in a few seconds, as against having to say, work out what your flash exposure is going to be, gel it so it matches the same color as the ambient light, and to just be able to get a flash out immediately, match the color temperature, hit it so I could see exactly what was going on there with the ambient, and it's done. It's this is why I said last week when we were talking about gear that that Photo B10 has changed everything the way that I've shot and do shoot. And like I said, Godox have just announced one. I think it's up for sale now, that you can buy as well. That's sort of the similar to what the Photo B10 has, in that you can use flash if you need to overpower the sun or you want to stop motion. And you can use the continuous light the second it starts to get darker, and you want to match these lovely ambient temperatures that are around. And remember, you can always tell bad flash, because when people use bad flash, they overpower the subject, and the subject almost looks like it's superimposed into
like
the
a green
image.
screen.
Yeah, it's like a green screen, and that I hate that look, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not saying it's wrong. Remember, art is an artistic choice. So if that's what you want to go to, that's fine. But I think a person that masters flash is when you have to ask, have they actually used a flash in that image? And it's a lot harder to use flash than it is continuous light, because you do have to think about balancing for color, ambient temperature and things like that, whereas you don't have to do that with continuous lighting, because you just look at what it's hitting, how the shadow's hitting and everything, and you can see it in real time. And that's the big advantage about going for continuous light or natural light over flash.
Those pointers right there are the exact reasons why I start kind of rethinking the way I do things, because there's some times where you'll have a flash and you have it set up where you think it should do good, but then there's like maybe you could see the shadow of the people you're shooting on the back wall or something, like, oh, look at that shadow, it looks terrible. So you got to change the position, but now it's like maybe they're like in that situation you had, maybe now Carrie's in the frame, and now but with the constant light you just go move it, up down, you can see the shadow like going down or wherever you want it to go. It's like, okay, it's out of the frame, let's do this. And when we were in when me and you and Gerald were in Valley of Fire, is that
Valley
what
of Fires,
it's called? Yeah, me and my wife were in that big I don't know, you could crack of the canyon. I don't know what you call the crevasse or whatever. And I remember Carrie got that photo out, and it was like done so quick. It was like, oh my gosh, because she got it out. She's just like, okay, it looks good there. And I don't even know if you told her. I think she just knew what to do, and it was like done. Like no shooting and looking and redoing it. So that it's pretty nice. And that was broad daylight, but because we were in the shade, it worked out perfect.
Yep. And the thing is, and like I said, because I'm so into doing fusions as well, it's the same, because then you can also do the video at the same time, and this is the big advantage, because you can't do that with Flash. You can't light up with Flash for videos. So the benefit is exactly, Aaron. Yep. So the benefit here is that I don't have when I'm doing fusion myself, I don't have that flash going off in the video, which can be really horrible for the bride if they're seeing the flash go off the whole time as well. So it's all constantly lit. It's all smooth. I'm not having that flash exposure that's going off. It's matching the ambient light that's going on there as well. So there's huge advantages for going, that way.
Now, the other thing is, Panda saying, who's that young man? It's me without the stash. Now, coming to the idea of people, like when you're doing let's say a model or something, and that bright light's constantly in their face, that could be an issue. However, it depends whether, I don't know how to explain this. Like, we've done this in video for a long time with constant light, and I don't think it's too much of an issue if you have it diffused properly, and if you have it in a position where it's not like right over the camera where they have to like look right into it. So I don't know. I've never had that with video. Now with video, of course, it's usually the person's not looking into the camera. But then again, I'm saying this because I never did photography for a long time with natural light. I've never had that issue where people that I was photographing were annoyed of the constant light. Is that something you've had before? Because people bring it up, David.
No, it's more the fact that the only thing I can say is when you, like if I use constant light onto a bride or whatever, and they do at first, go like that because the lighting is so bright. So
But can't you diffuse it in a way?
You can diffuse it, but it's still a lot brighter than what they see with Flash, because with Flash there's no light there at all. So
they don't have time to react.
Yeah, they haven't got time to react, and it's just bang, and But I've worked around that now, and I'll always tell them to look away, or I'll say close your eyes for a second and then open your eyes, and I've now been able to work around it, and I often do diffuse my little Magnum that I've got with a bit of a diffusion cloth that softens the light as well, and it's off to one side, so I'm not like firing it directly into their face so that they're looking at it. I want shape, I want to cause that shadow that's on one side of the face. So I'm always after that shape as well. So yeah, I've now worked out how to get around it, Aaron. So
yeah, like I said, I was using my video lighting for when I was first starting with photography, and I would just use an umbrella, and it was so soft, I don't know, and I wasn't trying to compete with the sun, by the way. I was in situations where I wasn't doing that, and I just had like this soft glowing umbrella out of their eyesight, where I never thought it was an issue. One thing that I always thought of it being an issue was during a wedding, if you're going around doing photographs with the constant light, it's like always on everybody all the time, whereas a flash is just, it's not, nobody knows anything, and all of a sudden it's just a quick little flash and nobody really is bothered by it. But if you're walking around with a flash constant light, isn't that a little annoying to the guests and other things where they're like, oh my gosh, that light's just on the whole time, and like, can you shut that off, please? If that's the case, isn't there a way to like have a remote turn it on when you need it and turn it off? Like, you're ready to do the shot and then you turn it on. I guess that's what your assistant would do.
Yeah, you can do it from my phone. I can do it from my phone. But the thing too is, I was initially worried about that too. Like when I was doing all the guest photos when they're all sitting at their tables, I was initially worried about them being blind. But I've never had one complain. And it's interesting that, and the reason about that is I've found that I get through it so much quicker now, because where before you can't just shoot off continuously with the flash, because that I find is intimidating, where you're just seeing constant flashes going around. But because this is lit up,
that's true.
I can do a table in 2 seconds. I'll just have Kerry standing next to me. Now, like I said, she's never facing directly on the front of them, so they're blinded. She's always to the side, and then I'll just go bang, 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 because it's all constantly lit. So I don't even have to worry about anything. every shot is exactly the same exposure, and it's just over within 2 seconds. So where it used to take me half an hour to go through and do all of the crowd sitting down on their tables, it's now probably taking me 15 minutes. I think it's half the time that it took me before using Flash. And it's not, like I'm saying, just going bang, bang, bang off, which can almost be like a strobe if you're going too fit, like the flashing lights, strobe lights that you see. Langston
Never
just
thought
said,
about that.
Langston did say, Jerry put the link in the comments too to that Flash, so if you want to check the link out, that's on there as well. The other thing was Langston said, you've got to be careful putting diffusion on because it does lower the intensity of the light.
You know what you're doing when you do that. It's not situational and stuff. If you're new, you got to know if you're thinking you're going to get like an LED panel like this, and then you're thinking of getting a cheaper one that doesn't put out a lot of light, and you're thinking about diffusing it, then think twice that you're going to lose a lot of light from that. But usually, when I was doing it, like it was literally like this light. You guys can't see it, but I'm actually touching my light. It's like right here, out of frame, and it's very diffused. Well,
we're all being lit by continuous light now. I've got a big softbox up there. So now we're going to go now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through Aaron's video. We're going to play a little bit of it, and then we'll stop, and we can just have a little discussion about that. But let me just drag this down, and then, oops, where are we? Let me click there. I've just got to come back and then come back to it. All right, so I'm going to play this. We'll play this for a little bit, and then we'll come back and chat about what Aaron was thinking and things. I love this. Central Park is one of my favourite places.
Yes.
I adore it. Really interesting. Before I forget, and then I'd like to ask Aaron what he shot with and other things here, because we're going to continue on this in a minute. But I noticed, Aaron, you used a really interesting technique there where was it speed ramps, where you've been speeding and slowing the footage down?
Yeah, this was done 7 years ago with DaVinci Resolve. So I'm like an old adopter to DaVinci Resolve. And at that time, DaVinci Resolve was just coming out with like editing and I wanted to try slow motion. And the whole point of this video, why I did it, was I wanted to go out and see how far you can push 60p and how slow you can do with that before it starts getting all those artifacts, which you could kind of see artifacts in their slow motion artifacts. And it was using DaVinci editing. Maybe this is the first iteration of their editing suite inside their color grading platform. So yeah, basically now, if you guys haven't seen my video, the POV B-roll challenge, I'm doing a tutorial on that. The speed ramping now in DaVinci Resolve is so much better because you can hit points and you can slowly speed up and slow down. This was more of a cut and slow the clip down before and then let it play fast afterwards. So it was a challenge, but yep, that's what I basically did on this one.
Now, what were you using when you shot this?
Yeah, this was on the Panasonic GH3. Like I said, 7 years ago. And for the longest time, I only used 2 lenses. And on the Panasonic camera, or Micro Four Thirds, it was the Panasonic 20 millimeter and the Olympus 45 millimeter. So if you want to do the math on that, it's basically a 40 millimeter and an 85 millimeter. And I know you, David, for quite a while used a 35 and 85.
Yep.
So it's similar to that. And so I just had the GH3 with just those 2 lenses. Went out to New York where we frequent a lot, and I thought I would do the slow motion. Now, I did this, a while ago, and then I did one, what did I call that? I showed it last week, NYC.
Yep.
Yeah, the time-lapse one. So I did a slow motion one, then a time-lapse one, and that's why I wanted to show you guys the slow motion one. Yeah, just those 2 lenses with the GH3 using DaVinci Resolve. One thing I noticed is when there was a shot there of a lady standing here, I think it was a father laying down with the baby, and then the mother went over and spun her around. I remember when that was unfolding. Now, when you have prime lenses, you got to really, react quick. And what lens do you have on at the time you see something? That's why I think I'm liking the Tamron zoom lens, because I was always a prime shooter, is I can just get stuff like immediately. Whereas you have primes on, I remember that shot, I had the 45 on there, and when I saw that sit, I was like, oh my gosh, look how the background, this is like a beautiful shot for slow motion. I got down on the ground, and because I had a flippy screen, made the job so much more easy because I just flipped it and I put it down in the 45 like way too zoomed in, so I had to switch. You just have to work fast with primes, and even with the 40 millimeter it was a little close, so I had to go all the way back to where the benches are, but I got the shot. And it's a little hard with the primes and only having 2, but I pulled that off. So yeah.
Well, let's keep going because I haven't seen this myself, so I'm going to play the rest of the video now, so I won't stop until it's finished. Just so we can get the real feel of how this movie goes, and then we can talk about it a little bit at the end. So here we go.
Alrighty.
Wow, that was so cool. I wonder, I love those smoke shots. I just thought about it. I wonder if I'll get demonetized because I've got the music from there. You never know. Well, hang on. Where'd I go? Is my audio still there, or have I gone?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Lightroom workshop. I almost said
Photo called Toby. I can't hear anything. Hang on. I don't know what's going on here. Can you hear me, Aaron? I think we've lost audio. Let me click back to there. Testing 1, 2. Yeah, I'm still coming through, but I can't hear Aaron at all. I don't know why. Can you hear me, Aaron? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've lost audio. I can't hear Aaron for some reason. It's not being looped back to me. I've got no idea why. So sorry guys, I can't hear a thing. I mean, I think Aaron can hear me, but I can't hear you, Aaron. So we might have to end the show. I don't know why it's gone. I'm just trying to see if I can see why it's lost the audio. No. I've got no idea. No, it's just gone. It's not happy, Aaron. Don't know what's gone on there. So guys, we'll have to end it there because I've lost audio completely and I can't seem to get it back. Aaron said he's talking to himself. I did love that video, Aaron. It was great. Like I just said, I don't know whether it will be demonetized. I just thought about that afterwards. It'll be interesting to see if YouTube pick it up. I don't know why I can't hear Aaron. I've got no idea. It's funny that he can hear me, but I can't hear him. It's weird. It's not coming back at all. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yep, it's gone. Aaron can hear me, but I can't hear him, so we can't have a discussion because I just can't hear what he's talking about. Well, we've been going for an hour and whatnot anyway, so it's been going for a while as it is, so I don't know why that's happened. But Aaron, if you want to just tell people what you've got coming up, and I'll wait until you stop talking before I start, but just tell everyone what you've got coming up this week. Oh, so I think Aaron's finished now. So, yeah, I've got a few videos still coming up, a few reviews and things like that are coming up in the coming days. So stay tuned for that, guys. Can you guys hear Aaron, or is it just... Aaron, just talk for a second. No. I think you've gone. Yeah, I think it was you that's gone, Aaron. I think that was it. Let me just check something up here just to see if I can get it back. Audio capture. Yeah, I think it's Aaron's disappeared. I think something happened. I don't know whether it's Skype or what, but we've lost Aaron out of the chat completely, which I've got no idea why. Sorry, guys. There's not much we can do about it. We get some technical hiccups sometimes over here. Who knows? Stay tuned for Aaron's video. Obviously, I'll put the links down for Aaron's channel down below. And we will see you all next week. Well, luckily we got through 3/4 of the show anyway. It might be that I'll wait for that to finish and cut off that end bit and just finish after Aaron's played his video, but we'll see how it looks after that. At least he could come back on the chat anyway. So we'll be back next week with Aaron on the Wednesday US for you times, Tuesday for me here in Australia. I will also be back on Friday. Well, hopefully there'll be stuff to discuss as well. And we'll see you all soon in the next video. Bye, guys.